Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another edition of Foodie Fridays. So for this Foodie Fridays, I am making turkey meatball subs. Now who doesn't love a good sub? And this one's made with ground turkey, so I'm going a little healthier here on the channel. I know a lot of y'all give me flack sometimes for the recipes that I post because they're not that waste friendly, but this one is not too bad and it tastes delicious. This is a tried and true. We've made this a million times, so I can vouch and say that this one is the bomb. You've definitely got to try it, especially if you want something a little lighter and if you like ground turkey, definitely check it out. So the ingredients that you're going to need are turkey, obviously. You're going to need 1 pound of ground turkey. You're going to need some type of sub buns. Those are just the ones that I got on a whim. You're going to need some pasta sauce. So I've got some pasta sauce back there. You also need some provolone cheese. You're going to need some Montreal steak seasoning, some garlic powder. It calls for like oregano and all kinds of different spices, but I just put Italian seasoning in there since that's mainly a bunch of those seasonings put together. Saves me time and less things I need in my cabinet. Some extra virgin olive oil. You need 1 egg, some breadcrumbs, and some shredded Parmesan cheese. And I love using that kind of Parmesan cheese and not the kind in the bag. So I highly suggest using that for your meatballs. So as far as the measurements, I'll tell you once we start putting everything together. But I'm going to be putting a lot of this stuff in a bowl, mixing it up, and making our meatballs. So let's get started. All right, y'all. So I have the 1 pound of the ground turkey in the bowl already. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of my Montreal steak spice. And it really gives it a great flavor. Definitely adds the much needed flavor to the ground turkey. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Now again, the original recipe that you're going to see below in the description box calls for oregano and basil and different things, but I just find that this works just as good. Then I'm also going to put in my 1 egg that I already beat up. So 1 egg's going in there. And I'm going to put my breadcrumbs in here. And my breadcrumbs is 1/2 cup. I'm also going to add 1/2 cup of my Parmesan cheese, my grated Parmesan cheese that I like to buy, that specific one I was telling you about, not the bag kind. I just find that it is like real Parmesan cheese, if that makes any sense. And then I'm going to add my garlic powder, which it calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I add an entire teaspoon just because we really like garlic and garlic powder. So I'm going to add that as well. Then I'm also going to add my olive oil, which is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then that should be all I'm adding to the mixture for the meatballs. So 2 tablespoons of the olive oil really gives it the moisture that this turkey needs, because y'all know that turkey can get really dry quickly. So this definitely adds the moisture that it needs. Okay, so I'm going to mix this up, and when I come back, I will film me making the meatballs. All right, I went ahead and mixed my turkey mixture, and now I am ready to go ahead and make my meatballs. So when making my meatballs, guys, I just take a little bit of the mixture, probably like a tablespoon, and I just rub it in my hands to form a little ball, just like we do for any meatball. So you want it to be about this consistency. You can make them smaller or bigger if you want, but that is what I'm gonna do for mine. Now this recipe also makes enough for probably a family of 3. So if you wanted to make more, then you need to double the recipe. All right, y'all, so these are the meatballs on the baking pan ready to go in the 425-degree preheated oven. You're gonna wanna cook these guys for about 15 minutes or until cooked through, so just make sure to check them and that you don't have any raw turkey. That would not be good. So you don't have to cook them long, guys. That cheese is gonna melt, all those flavors are gonna blend, and it's gonna be so super yummy. So I'm gonna cook these, and then I'll show you what you need to do with your bread and your provolone cheese next. All right, y'all, so the meatballs are done. Timer went off. Let's get these bad boys out and see how they look. All right, so I went ahead and took the meatballs out the oven. They look done to me. Now, they're not gonna be solid and firm like a ground beef meatball would be. They're gonna be a little mushy, but just make sure there is no pink at all or anything that looks like you have any raw turkey at hand, because that is not good at all. So I did cut one of them to check the inside, and it looks pretty good to me. So I'm gonna set these aside, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do with the buns and the provolone next. All right, y'all, so I've put my provolone on my sliced buns, and I'm going to put this in a oven, and I'm gonna have the broiler on. It just went off just now, and I'm gonna leave the oven a little cracked and make sure to monitor it, especially since I have the kiddos around, and that actually lets a little bit of the heat out. So this might not be a good tip for you, especially for these hot summer months, but during the winter times, definitely you can leave it cracked a little bit so it doesn't burn your bread as much. So it lets some of the heat out so it doesn't burn as quickly, and it has time to melt your cheese, which is what we want from this essentially. We don't want any burnt bread, and let me tell you, I've burnt the bread many times in my life, so it happens to me. I'm sure it's gonna happen to you eventually as well. So let's go ahead and get this in the oven. So let's see, I'm gonna pop it in there, and thought y'all might get smoked out from the heat, but I'm gonna leave it in there. I'm gonna leave it cracked. All right, so crack just a little bit so it lets some of that heat escape, and I'm gonna let that cheese get all melty and gooey, and then we're gonna assemble these subs. They're gonna be so yummy, y'all. All right, so checking on our bread, guys, it looks like the cheese is getting to the consistency of melted that we wanted, and I'm gonna take it out now because I don't want my bread to burn. All right, y'all, so we are ready to plate these bad boys. So I'm gonna take my bread with my melted provolone cheese. I'm gonna stick it right there. I'm going to take some of my meatballs, and I need to get a spatula and kind of get them off. I let them rest. You want to let them rest so it does solidify the turkey a little bit and they're not as mushy. But we're going to put enough meatballs on these subs to make the whole sub full of deliciousness. So I'm just going to put 3 on those. Sometimes you'll need 4 depending on how big your sub is. I am going to add some Blue Plate olive oil mayonnaise to mine. I know everybody else in the house likes regular mayonnaise, but I like to eat a little bit healthier when I can. Doesn't happen that often, but I try. And you want to have enough mayo here, guys, or whatever you want for your topping, so you have a little bit of moisture for your sandwich. So there is that, and then I'm going to add my marinara sauce that I heated through. I heated that in the microwave for about 3 minutes. So I'm gonna add that on top. And you don't want a ton because it'll be a hot mess. But there you have it, guys. So that is the turkey meatball subs. I can't wait to dig in. We haven't had these in a while, but we've made them many times, so can't wait to dig in and give it a try. So I hope you enjoy this Foodie Fridays. Give it a thumbs up if you have been loving these Foodie Fridays and plan on making these turkey meatball subs. And hit that subscribe button if you're not with me already, because I do a Foodie Fridays every single Friday here on the channel, and I'd love to have you a part of the YouTube family. Y'all have a great weekend, guys. Please pray for everyone that is in Florida and hope that it goes a different way. This is Thursday when I'm filming, so as of right now it is going to affect Florida and the Carolinas. So please say a prayer for everybody. I so am praying for everybody that's been affected by these storms. It is crazy. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.